less than 250 milliseconds. That's exactly the time it takes for you to blink.
Right.
And it is exactly how long it takes for a $50 billion global industry to become completely and irreversibly obsolete.
It's wild.
We are talking about the ultimate, the unconquered friction of human history, which is the language barrier. And it has just been dismantled by silicon.
It really is a profound shift in just human capabilities. I mean, we conquered distance with, the jet engine.
Right.
We conquered information scarcity with the fiber optic cable. But the inability to seamlessly transmit a complex thought from one mind to another across linguistic lines, that biological limitation has dictated global trade and wars and wealth for the entirety of our species.
Until right now.
Yeah.
So welcome to today's deep dive. We're unpacking an incredibly dense piece of analysis today. It's an essay titled "The Death of the Language Barrier: How Real-Time AI Translation is Rewiring the Global Economy."
And it's a dense one.
It is. Our goal today is to unpack the sudden birth of what they're calling digital telepathy. We're going to break down why the English premium wage gap is collapsing practically overnight.
Yep.
And we're going to lay out the exact investment playbook for this new frictionless economy. But honestly, the part of this that kept me awake last night is the dark side.
Oh, yeah. The dark side is...
We are going to look at why this technology might actually trigger a mass extinction event for human thought. And how diplomatic deepfakes could invisibly warp global reality.
Because the stakes, honestly, they could not be higher. Yeah. We are fundamentally talking about altering the foundational layer of human trust.
Right.
And the economics of how humans value each other's time and their intellect.
So let's start with the economics then, because before we look at the AI that's carrying down this wall, I really want to understand the brutal economics of the wall itself.
Sure.
Why has language dictated global wealth for so long? The essay introduces this concept of the localization cartel.
Yeah, the cartel.
Right. This $50 billion legacy industry built entirely on human biological limitations.
Well, think about what that $50 billion actually represents. It's human translators. Dubbing actors.
Subtitle agencies.
Subtitle agencies, corporate localization teams. It is an empire built on a very simple biological bottleneck, which is that the human brain struggles immensely to absorb and process a second syntax.
Right.
And to bridge that gap, you had to pay a massive premium.
But it almost feels like a tariff, right? Like if you're a knowledge worker sitting in California, you've essentially had this invisible import tax protecting you from the full force of global competition.
That is a brilliant way to frame it, actually.
Because you didn't have to compete with the genius coder in Hanoi because, well, the genius in Hanoi couldn't speak to your boss.
Exactly. It was an artificial tariff on global labor. And the most profound economic distortion caused by this is what labor economists call the English premium.
The English premium.
Right. We are talking about a quantifiable reality where non-native English speakers who achieve fluency, they enjoy a 20 to 40% wage premium over their equally skilled peers in their home countries.
20 to 40%?
20 to 40%, yeah.
Which is wild when you think about it, because knowing English doesn't make you better at writing Python code. Yeah. Or designing a bridge or balancing an accounting ledger.
Not at all.
Yeah.
The premium exists purely because that fluent worker can interface with Western capital. And Western management and Western clients. I mean, for decades, a U.S. software company would gladly pay $150,000 for a relatively mediocre, locally based developer in, say, Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
Rather than face the immense communication friction of hiring a truly brilliant developer in Vietnam for $40,000.
Because the friction was just too high?
The friction of the language barrier, the delayed emails, the misunderstood project requirements, the inability to brainstorm in real time.
Right.
It's just too expensive to bridge.
So to bypass that tariff, you had to pay the localization cartel.
Exactly.
But wait, I have a question. We've had machine translation for years. Like early iterations of Google Translate have been around forever.
Oh, yeah.
Why did it take so long to automate this? Why did legacy machine translation fail to actually disrupt that $50 billion market?
Because legacy machine translation was a blunt statistical instrument.
Okay.
To understand why it failed, you have to look at how it was built. Early machine translation engines didn't actually understand language.
What do you mean they didn't understand it?
Well, they were fed massive data sets of bilingual text, so that think millions of translated Canadian Parliament documents.
Oh, okay.
Or United Nations transcripts. The algorithm will look at an English sentence and a French sentence and essentially play a massive game of probability.
Okay, so just math.
Right. It would guess that word X usually follows word Y.
So it was just word for word swapping based on historical math.
Yes. And because it was purely statistical, it completely missed the idiom, the cultural nuance, the sarcasm.
Right, because those don't map one-to-one.
Exactly. It lacked true semantic understanding. So if you tried to use it for a high-stakes legal contract or a delicate corporate negotiation,
oh man,
it produced robotic, sometimes hilarious, and occasionally legally disastrous results.
Right.
Therefore, the human translator remained this irreplaceable, highly paid artisan. You needed biological human cognition to understand the context of the language.
Which brings us to the physics of this new reality, because the old statistical models failed, but large language models, or LLMs, they changed the game completely.
Entirely.
But I gotta push back here for a second.
Go for it.
If the old translation was so robotic because it just swapped words, how does this new AI handle cultural nuances or weird idioms? Like, does it just have a vastly bigger statistical dictionary?
No, it is a completely different architectural paradigm. This is the crux of the disruption.
Okay.
LLMs do not translate words. They translate latent concepts. They map the underlying mathematical geometry of human thought.
The mathematical geometry of thought. Hold on, I need an ELI 5 for that.
Sure.
Explain, like, I'm 5. What does that actually look like in practice?
Okay, let's use an idiom. Think about the English phrase, "It's raining cats and dogs."
Right.
If you statistically translate that word for word into French, you get something about actual animals falling from the sky.
Which sounds
It
insane.
makes absolutely no sense to a French speaker. But the French have their own idiom for heavy rain. It's "il pleut des cordes,"
Okay.
which translates literally to "it's raining ropes."
Raining ropes. Okay, I kind of like that, actually.
Yeah, it's very visual.
Yeah.
Now, in the architecture of a large language model, words are converted into vectors. So essentially numbers plotted in a massive multidimensional space.
Right, like coordinates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to an LLM, the English phrase "raining cats and dogs" and the French phrase "raining ropes" share the exact same semantic coordinate.
Oh, wow.
They occupy the same mathematical space for the concept of heavy precipitation. So when the AI translates, it does not swap the words. It identifies the abstract concept in English and then reaches into the French side of its neural network and generates the culturally appropriate concept.
It swaps the concept, not the vocabulary.
Exactly.
Wow. So the mode of contextual understanding that protected the human translator has been entirely breached. It's actually understanding the intention.
It is algorithmically capturing intention.
That is wild.
And that is just the semantic layer. Semantic translation is only the first part of this new stack.
Right. The essay goes much further.
Oh yeah. The real paradigm shift, what the analysis called digital telepathy.
Yeah.
That happens when you combine that semantic understanding with real-time zero-shot voice cloning and viseme lip syncing.
Okay, let's walk through the actual real-world case study laid out in the analysis to see the physics of this pipeline in action, because the latency numbers here are what make this a completely new reality.
Yeah, the latency is the whole ball game here.
Right, so let's look at a high-stakes corporate negotiation pipeline. We have an American executive sitting in New York, and they are speaking English on a video link with a manufacturing supplier located in Shenzhen, China.
A very common scenario.
Exactly. The executive is speaking naturally, assertively in English, laying out a hardline negotiation tactic.
So step one is acoustic speech recognition, or ASR.
Right.
The audio is captured and transcribed into text. The data shows this takes roughly 50 milliseconds.
50 milliseconds, that's barely a fraction of blink.
It's essentially instantaneous to the human brain.
Okay, then step 2. The semantic LLM kicks in.
Yep.
It takes that English text and translates it into natural business appropriate Mandarin.
Right.
And because of that latent conceptual mapping we just talked about, it doesn't just get the words right, it preserves the executive's assertive, urgent tone.
Which is crucial for negotiations.
Exactly. And this takes another 80 milliseconds, so we are at 130 milliseconds total.
Now for step 3.
Okay.
This is the absolute magic of the pipeline. Zero-shot voice cloning.
Explain the zero-shot part.
So the system does not output the Mandarin using a generic robotic text-to-speech voice, like those awful automated customer service lines that instantly make you want to hang up.
Oh, I hate those. Yeah, the brain instantly flags those as fake and annoying.
Right. Instead, the AI accesses a latent audio profile of the American executive's voice. And it only needs about 3 seconds of prior audio to build this profile.
Wait, 3 seconds?
Just 3 seconds. It maps the pitch, the timbre, the unique vocal resonance.
Wow.
And then it synthesizes the translated Mandarin text using the executive's exact voice.
So it literally sounds like the American spent 20 years learning flawless Mandarin.
Exactly.
But audio isn't enough on a video call, right? Like, if the lips don't match the sounds, our brains experience that uncanny valley effect, and we instantly reject the person as untrustworthy or fake.
That's a deep biological rejection.
Right. Which brings us to step 4, viseme lip syncing.
This is where it gets really sci-fi.
Yeah.
To understand this, you need to know how a real-time generative adversarial network, or a GAN, operates on video.
GEM. Okay.
So a GAN is essentially 2 neural networks fighting each other. One generates fake imagery, and the other tries to spot the fake.
Oh, okay. So they're adversarial.
Exactly. They do this millions of times until the generator creates something completely indistinguishable from reality.
Wow.
In this case, the GAN is mapping visemes.
Viseme. Okay, so like foams, but visual.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
Foams are the sounds we make. Visemes are the specific shapes the mouth makes when producing those sounds.
I see.
So the AI maps the precise Mandarin Vs required for the translated audio, then flawlessly in real time, the GAN warps the pixels around the American executive's mouth on the live video feed.
It's just warping the pixel.
Yeah, it alters the video, so it looks physiologically like the executive is natively forming Mandarin words.
It's hacking the video feed.
It is hacking reality, essentially.
And the shocking result here, the total latency for all 4 of these steps, capture, semantic translation, voice cloning, and pixel warping lip sync, is under 250 milliseconds.
It's unbelievable. The Chinese supplier hears flawless Mandarin in the Americans as actual voice with perfect lip sync with less than a quarter-second delay.
That's less than a blink.
Right. It completely bypasses every single biological defense mechanism we have.
Because human psychology is just deeply hardwired to trust voices that sound familiar and facial expressions that match the audio.
Exactly. By cloning the voice and syncing the lips, the AI bypasses the brain's foreigner defense mechanism.
Oh, wow.
You instantly build localized trust. It feels like 2 locals sitting in the same room, even if they are 10,000 miles apart.
So the friction of the border is entirely eradicated.
Gone.
And this isn't some 10-year sci-fi projection, right? It's happening right now, accessible through a $15 monthly subscription in an AI earbud.
Today. You can buy this today.
Which brings us to a massive, highly contrarian take regarding how we value human time and education.
Let's get into it.
Because for decades, we've been told that learning a second language is the ultimate career hack. Right. Like, you want to get ahead in global business, learn Mandarin.
Right.
You want to work in international healthcare, learn Spanish.
Sure. But if this technology functions flawlessly, spending 10,000 hours to learn a second language purely for economic utility is now a catastrophic misallocation of human capital.
Okay, I have to push back hard on this.
I knew you would.
Are you seriously telling our listeners to drop their language classes? Like, what about the cultural empathy you gain from learning a language? You learn so much about a people by struggling through their syntax.
Of course.
You can't just code that shared human experience into a $15 earbud.
Look, cultural empathy is beautiful. And studying a language as a humanities pursuit will always have intrinsic value.
Right.
But we have to separate intrinsic value from economic utility. Let's look at the human story here. Imagine a medical student. They spend 4 years struggling with Spanish syntax, taking night classes on top of their medical rotations, just so they can effectively treat patients in a diverse city.
Yeah, it's a huge sacrifice.
It's massive. That immense cognitive toll, those thousands of hours of memorization, is suddenly economically obsolete when an ambient smart glass translator can perfectly translate their medical advice into emotionally resonant, culturally accurate Spanish in real time.
So from an efficiency standpoint, their time would have been better spent learning advanced surgical techniques.
Exactly.
Rather than memorizing verb conjugation.
Yes. Or consider a business executive sacrificing their weekends for 3 years to take Mandarin classes just to prepare for negotiations in Shanghai.
Right.
The digital telepathy pipeline does it better, it does it faster, and crucially, it completely eliminates the risk of a disastrous cultural faux pas born out of broken syntax.
Because they're not fumbling for the right word. The AI knows the exact culturally appropriate concept to use.
Precisely.
So if the economic utility of learning a language drops to zero, what happens to the massive industries built around teaching it? I mean, we are talking about language learning monopolies facing an existential collapse here.
Total collapse.
Companies that built multi-billion-dollar valuations entirely on the gamification of language learning. You know, the daily streaks, the leaderboards, the endless push notifications reminding you to practice.
Like the little green owl guilt tripping you every day.
Yes, exactly.
The gamified streak is dead money.
Wow.
The cognitive toll of memorizing vocabulary is unnecessary when the machine handles the syntax flawlessly. And it extends far beyond consumer apps too.
Where else?
Enrollment in university interpretation programs and translation studies is plummeting. Even the elite of the elite, the United Nations simultaneous interpreters.
Oh man, those are highly stressed human beings.
Extremely.
Sitting in those glass booths performing incredible feats of cognitive acrobatics to translate speeches in real time.
And they're being replaced by server racks. It is an inevitable economic transition. The human interpreter, no matter how highly skilled, is a biological bottleneck.
Right.
They get fatigued, they miss nuance under extreme pressure, they need shift changes. The AI is an infinitely scalable API.
It doesn't need a coffee break.
Exactly. That entire $50 billion localization cartel is being violently compressed into a handful of highly profitable software monopolies.
Okay, let's zoom out from the apps and the interpreters for a minute. If this technology is essentially a universal translator in your ear, the macroeconomic earthquake here is just staggering. We're talking about the dawn of the true borderless workforce.
Yes, and this completely destroys the logic of nearshoring, which has been a dominant trend in corporate strategy for, the last half decade?
Yeah, at least. I mean, U.S. companies used to offshore to India or the Philippines purely because of legacy English proficiency.
Right.
Then recently they started nearshoring to Latin America, places like Mexico, Colombia, Argentina, because the time zones lined up and there was a strong bilingual workforce.
But if language is no longer a barrier, a company in Chicago doesn't need to restrict their search to a bilingual project manager in Mexico City.
Right.
They can hire the absolute best, most naturally gifted project manager in Hanoi, Vietnam, or Nairobi, Kenya.
Because the AI proxy makes everyone sound native to each other.
Exactly. Think about a brilliant coder in rural China. Before this technology, they were completely blocked from the lucrative U.S. startup market because their spoken English was heavily accented or halting.
Right. They couldn't pass the cultural vibe check of a Zoom interview.
Exactly. Now they speak confident Mandarin into their proxy, and the U.S. CEO on the other end here's an articulate, native-sounding Silicon Valley engineer.
Oh, wow.
The coder gets the job based purely on merit, not linguistic proximity to the West.
So the resume no longer requires a fluent in English checkbox.
Nope, it's irrelevant.
But wait, if the supply of elite cognitive labor just expanded from the English-speaking fraction to the entire human population, what happens to wages? Do we all just get richer because of increased efficiency?
Not everyone. No.
Yeah.
We are going to see a violent restructuring of global wages. This is what labor economists are calling global wage equalization.
Global wage equalization.
Yeah.
Elite talent in the developing world will see their wages skyrocket because they finally have frictionless access to Western capital.
Because they're no longer trapped in low-wage microeconomy.
Exactly. But for the West.
Yeah, what happens to the knowledge worker in Chicago?
Mid-tier Western knowledge workers are going to face immense downward wage pressure.
Oof.
Their primary moat, which was the ability to speak fluent English and interface smoothly with management, has completely evaporated.
It's just gone.
They are now competing directly with the absolute best minds on the planet who are willing to work for a fraction of the legacy Western salary.
Because the artificial tariff has been lifted.
Yes. The artificial tariff has been lifted, and the local manufacturers, in this case Western knowledge workers, are fully exposed to the global market.
That is a terrifying prospect for the middle class.
It really is. So let's shift gears, because this equalization isn't just happening in corporate labor.
No.
It is fundamentally rewiring the multi-billion-dollar global entertainment market. This brings us to what the analysis calls the content singularity.
Right.
And this is entirely a margin story.
Completely. The media landscape has historically been incredibly siloed by language.
Yeah.
If you were a creator, your total addressable market was strictly capped by your native tongue.
Right.
Take the example of a brilliant astrophysics YouTuber operating out of rural Brazil.
Okay.
They are making incredible high-quality educational content, but they are hard capped at the 250 million Portuguese speakers in the world.
Right. To break out of that cap previously, they had to pay human dubbing agencies thousands of dollars, wait weeks, and usually get a poorly synced, soulless video in return that alienated viewers anyway.
Exactly. But the AI dubbing pipelines changed the margin structure of content creation entirely. Now that Brazilian creator uploads their video in Portuguese, and within 4 minutes, the AI generates flawless voice-cloned lip-synced versions in English, Hindi, Mandarin, and Arabic.
4 minutes.
4 minutes. Their audience instantly jumps from 250 million to 4 billion people.
4 billion. And their ad revenue multiplies by a factor of 10 with almost zero marginal cost to produce those translations.
Almost zero.
It is a massive wealth transfer to global creators. The individuals with the best ideas and the deepest expertise will command a global monopoly on attention completely unconstrained by language.
Yes. But looking at the 5-year outlook, there is a massive cultural risk here.
Right, the global monoculture.
Think about what happens to cultural friction.
Okay.
Right now, friction protects local storytelling, local humor, local creators from the tidal wave of global mega creators.
So without that friction, local media monopolies just collapse.
Exactly. When that friction disappears, a teenager in Tokyo, a teenager in Berlin, and a teenager in Buenos Aires will all end up watching the exact same top 0.01% of hyper-optimized American or Korean creators.
Because it's all perfectly localized for them now.
Right. We are heading toward a highly homogenized global culture where a tiny fraction of creators captures 99% of human attention simply because they have the highest production value and can now perfectly localize into every language on Earth simultaneously.
It's ultimate winner-take-all market.
It really is.
So we've covered the labor market crash and the content singularity. We are watching a massive historical reallocation of capital here.
Massive.
So how does a listener actually position themselves in this Babel fish economy? Like if we look at the capital flows right now, there is a very specific playbook emerging from the sources.
Let's get into the playbook.
What are the actual investment vectors for this week?
All right, let's start with the short side of the market. Investment vector number 1. Shorting the legacy localization cartels and the consumer language learning apps.
Makes sense.
Their core product teaching humans to overcome linguistic friction or paying humans to manually translate it is technologically obsolete.
Right.
The subscription model for learning a language is dead money when an earbud does it perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, corporate budgets are already shifting rapidly from human translators to enterprise AI dubbing APIs, right?
Very rapidly. The total addressable market for legacy translation is in terminal decline.
Okay, that makes total sense. What about the long play? Where is the capital moving? The analysis points to hardware toll booths,
right?
Specifically edge audio silicon. But I gotta be honest, I'm a little confused by this one.
Why is that?
Because everything is moving to the cloud these days. All the big AI models run on massive server farms. Why are we talking about hardware?
Because of the physics of latency.
Latency, okay.
You simply cannot rely on cloud computing for digital telepathy. If your earbud has to capture your audio, send it across the internet to an Amazon Web Services server farm in Virginia to be processed, voice cloned, translated, and then send it back down to the other person's ear.
Oh, I see.
That round trip, constrained by internet routing and literally the speed of light, takes about a full second.
And a 1-second delay completely ruins the illusion of a natural, real-time conversation.
Totally ruins it.
Like, we've all been on those terrible satellite news interviews where people constantly talk over each other, right? The human brain can't tolerate that much lag in a fluid conversation.
Precisely. It breaks the illusion. So to achieve that magical sub-250 millisecond latency, the processing must happen natively on the device.
On the edge.
On the edge. Inside the earbud itself or inside the frames of your smart glasses. Therefore, the immense wealth opportunity lies in the mid-cap semiconductor companies manufacturing ultra-low power digital signal processors or DSPs and neural processing units, NPUs.
So they're building the specialized chips optimized purely for real-time audio generation and viseme mapping.
Exactly. They are the toll booths of the frictionless world.
That's a great way to put it.
Every single pair of AI earbuds or AR glasses must pay them a hardware tax to function.
That is a A fascinating play. Okay, what is the third vector? The security layer.
The security layer.
Your analysis talks about cryptographic voice printing. Why is this necessary?
Well, because it addresses the immediate catastrophic fallout of zero-shot voice cloning.
Right?
When AI can perfectly clone a voice from 3 seconds of audio, the foundational layer of human trust recognizing a voice on the phone is entirely compromised.
Oh, man.
We are already seeing an explosion of what is called CEO fraud.
CEO fraud. Right, where an AI clones a CEO's voice from like a YouTube interview, calls the CFO, and demands an immediate wire transfer to a fake vendor.
It's already costing companies millions of dollars.
Can you imagine?
The market desperately needs a solution to verify identity in an audio-first world.
And that solution isn't software, it's hardware-level security chips.
It has to be hardware. We need cryptographic watermarks embedded into the audio generated by our personal devices.
Hold on, how do you actually embed a mathematical proof into a human voice without making the audio sound robotic or distorted to the listener? Like, how does that work?
Right, it happens at a level the human ear can't detect. Essentially, your physical microphone or earbud has a private cryptographic key physically baked into the silicon.
Okay.
As it captures your voice, it stamps microscopic inaudible mathematical proofs onto the audio frames.
So it's watermarking it in real time.
Yes. And the receiving device checks those proofs. The investment opportunity is in the companies building the architecture that proves a voice transmission is originating from a specific physical piece of hardware.
Not a spoofed AI server in a hacker's basement.
Exactly. It will become the mandatory security layer for all global corporate communications.
So if you can't cryptographically prove it's you, the bank's AI won't even connect the call.
Exactly. It just drops it.
Wow. Okay, the final part of the playbook is for the builders, the entrepreneurs out there.
Yeah, this is a big one.
The opportunity is in building cultural context AI for enterprise sales. Because literal translation, even semantic translation, is not enough for high-stakes B2B sales. You need algorithmic cultural empathy.
Exactly. I love the analogy used to describe this in the source material.
Yeah.
It's like having an AR earpiece acting as an invisible cultural coach.
Right.
Imagine an American salesperson pitching a Japanese client. The AI doesn't just translate the English into Japanese. It actively analyzes the cultural context.
It reads the room.
It reads the room. It subtly restructures the American's argument into a high-context, relationship-focused narrative that works better in Japanese business culture.
And while it's translating, it's literally whispering in the American's ear, right? Like telling them to slow their speaking cadence, adjust their posture, and stop using aggressive hand gestures.
Yes. You aren't just selling translation, you're selling real-time cultural adaptation.
That is a massively valuable enterprise tool.
It's game-changing.
Okay, we've talked about the immense wealth generation, the frictionless labor market, the incredible creator tools. But as promised, we need to address the dark side.
Yeah, we have to.
Eradicating the friction of language comes with a terrifying existential cost to humanity itself. Let's talk about the Sapir-Whorf extinction.
The Sapir-Whorf extinction.
So in linguistics, the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, or linguistic relativity, it argues that the actual structure of a language fundamentally shapes how its speakers perceive reality and think about the world.
Right.
So basically, the words we have dictate the thoughts we can form.
Yes. Different languages encode entirely different philosophies, relationships to time, and emotional nuances.
Give me an example.
Well, for example, in Portuguese, there is the word saudade.
Saudade, okay.
It describes this profound melancholic longing for something absent. There is no direct single-word equivalent in English for that exact emotional texture.
Right, it's a very specific feeling.
Or take certain indigenous languages that don't use egocentric spatial coordinates like left or right.
Wait, they don't use left or right?
No. They rely entirely on cardinal directions north, south, east, west.
Wow.
Which fundamentally alters how those speakers experience spatial awareness and navigate the world. They always know exactly which way north is.
That's incredible.
And here is the profound danger of digital telepathy.
Okay.
When we rely on an AI to instantly translate everything into a frictionless medium, the AI inherently maps all of these profound untranslatable nuances into the closest, most averaged standard global English concept.
Right, because it has to make it understandable to the person on the other end.
Exactly.
So it flattens the topology of human thought.
Yes.
Let me ground this in something we all experience every day just to make it concrete.
Sure.
Think about how using autocorrect or predictive text on your phone has subtly changed the way you write emails.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You start using more generic, predictable phrases because it's easier to just tap the suggested word than to type out a unique thought.
Right. It's the path of least resistance.
Oh, scale that up to global human thought.
It is the exact same mechanism, but on a civilizational scale.
That is chilling.
The AI irons out the cultural wrinkles just to ensure the transmission is smooth and digestible for the listener.
Wow.
And over generations, if humans rely entirely on AI to interface with the world, the incentive to maintain that linguistic diversity collapses.
It becomes a mass extinction event for unique philosophies and worldviews.
Exactly. As minor languages die out because they are no longer economically necessary, the unique ways of parsing reality encoded in those languages vanish with them.
And we're left with this highly efficient but deeply sterile global monoculture. We all end up thinking the exact same thoughts in the exact same algorithmic cadence.
It's a huge loss for human cognitive diversity. But the security risks get even darker.
Oh boy.
What happens if someone hacks the programmable lens? We are talking about adversarial mistranslation.
Adversarial mistranslation.
Right.
Because if diplomats, generals, and CEOs are all relying on real-time AI translation, the entity that controls the translation model effectively controls the reality of the negotiation.
Exactly. The translator is no longer a neutral bridge. It becomes a weapon.
How would that actually play out, though? Like, give me a scenario.
Well, imagine a state actor subtly biasing the model's weights.
Oh.
They could introduce microaggressions into an opponent's speech to purposefully derail peace talks.
Oh man, just slightly altering the tone.
Right. They could subtly soften threats to create a false sense of security, or, most terrifyingly, they could secretly alter the legal meaning of a treaty being negotiated in real time, completely undetected by the humans in the room.
Because you only hear the flawless voice-cloned output in your native tongue.
Exactly. You have no idea what was actually said in the original syntax.
The power to subtly warp global reality is just handed over to the architects of the translation model.
It's terrifying.
We have been on quite a journey today. I mean, we've witnessed the fall of the $50 billion localization cartel. We've mapped the rise of edge silicon toll booths and cryptographic voice print security. And we've stared into the realities of a frictionless but potentially sterile and manipulated global monoculture.
The Tower of Babel has fallen, the artificial tariff is gone, the era of digital telepathy is here.
But I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to mull over this week.
Okay.
If we truly eradicate all cognitive friction, if we all end up thinking in the exact same highly efficient, heavily averaged algorithmic syntax, what actually happens to human innovation?
That's the big question.
Do we actually need the friction and the struggle of misunderstanding each other to generate truly original divergent ideas?
I think we might.
Is that 250 milliseconds of frictionless translation actually the sound of human innovation flatlining? Think about that this week. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. And remember, everything we discussed today is educational analysis, not financial, legal, or investment advice. Do your own research, protect your capital, and we will see you next time.